Adhyudaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayana Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrutavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavadgite Bhavadveshinim Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Bhagavadgita is the essence of all the Vedas. Bhagavad-gita teaches Pravritti Marga and also the Nivritti Marga. Pravritti Marga is adopting a family life, living in the world, but trying to spiritually advance oneself. It is Pravritti Marga. Nivritti Marga is renunciation and also devoting the whole life for the sake of God. We were discussing Shankaracharya's introduction to his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and he says there are twofold religions, Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma. These two ways of Dharma are created by the Lord Himself. It is one of the creations of the world, primary creations it is called, Sarga. He created his children, Prajapatis, etc. They adopted what is called Pravritti Dharma. And Nivritti Dharma, the lives of sannyasa, was adopted by Sanaka, Sanandana, etc. Shankaracharya explains Nivritti Dharma as Jnana Vairagya Lakshanam. It has the characteristic of Jnana, the knowledge, and Vairagya, the renunciation. So, these two ways of the Dharma are necessary to maintain the balance of the world. If everybody takes up Pravritti Dharma, there would be no balance in the world, no maintenance of the world system. And also if everybody takes up the Nivritti Dharma, there will be no continuity of the progeny. So, in order to create a balance, to maintain the balance, the Lord Himself created this Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma, and some of His children who created in the beginning of creation adopted Pravritti Dharma, and some others followed the Nivritti Dharma. Then Shankaracharya takes up a very pertinent question, very important question. What is Dharma? Dharma is, according to him, Praninam Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Hetuhu, the cause or the origin of Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa of the living beings. So we try to understand what is Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. Last time we shall repeat that we shall recollect once again what we have studied. Abhyudaya means worldly prosperity. It is misunderstood that Dharma doesn't advocate worldly prosperity, family life, earning money, and gaining prestige, status in society. It is not so. It very much helps one to rise oneself high and to maintain a very good standard of life in the society. So that is Pravritti Dharma. But one should follow the ethical path. one should follow the right path. The right path, the moral path, the ethical path to be followed in order to advance oneself in the worldly way. It is called pravritti dharma. And what is nivritti dharma? Or the Abhyudaya. This is called Abhyudaya. Abhyudaya helps one who is following pravritti dharma to prosper in one's life. But one should stick on to morality and follow the instructions of the scriptures. So he should not go astray from the instruction of the scriptures, the moral path. So he should not go astray or do anything which is against dharma. So what is dharma? The instruction of the Vedas, instruction of the scriptures is what is called the Vedas. So in accordance with the Veda, if one follows the Veda and according to its instruction tries to live a good life, that is called pravritti dharma. And the target or the goal of the pravritti dharma is worldly prosperity or the Abhyudaya. Then what is Nishrayasa? Abhyudaya is not the ultimate goal. Worldly prosperity is but temporary in nature. We will die after some time. The all worldly prosperity, the wealth we have accumulated over the years, will not come with us when we die. So if one understands the transient nature of this life, one adopts the path of renunciation, the tyaga of all these material wealth, material desire for the material prosperity and the pleasure of this world and also the other worlds like heaven, etc. And that is called the nivritti marga. So the idea here is very simple. One should follow the pravritti marga if he is not yet has got the vairagya or the dispassion towards the worldly pleasure. After some time, after undergoing experience in the worldly ways, if one develops vairagya, one should follow the path of renunciation. This is the sum and substance of what is dharma as described by Shankaracharya in his commentary to the Bhagavadgita. So that which causes, that will lead to, what is your goal? Is it Abhyudaya or Nishrayasa? Spiritual liberation, spiritual emancipation, complete freedom is Nishrayasa. It is also called moksha in other terms. So Abhyudaya is just the worldly prosperity. Nishrayasa is the ultimate spiritual fulfillment. One can start with pravritti marga. Pravritti marga has got the goal only the Abhyudaya. If one gives up the desire for Abhyudaya, then one can transcend that and aspires for spiritual liberation by adopting the nivritti dharma also. So, dharma is the guiding factor for four pravritti dharma and the nivritti dharma. Pravritti dharma aims at only Abhyudaya, worldly prosperity, but the ultimate goal, ultimate purushartha is spiritual liberation. That is what is called here Nishrayasa. Then it is now easy to define what is dharma. Dharma is that which leads to Abhyudaya as well as Nishrayasa. If we want worldly prosperity, we have to adopt dharma, and if we want the spiritual liberation also, what we have to adopt, the means is dharma. But this has been created by the Lord Himself, and people were following the path of dharma in order to get Abhyudaya and also Nishrayasa. But over the time, as Shankaracharya describes, Kamodbhava took place. The arise of the Kama in the midst of the followers of the Dharma. The Kama here should be understood as the desire, selfless desire. The rise of the kama is equivalent to rise of the adharma. Dharma is always restrains the desires. Our passions, our basic passion instincts that are controlled by if we adopt the path of dharma. Rising of the lust, rising of the desire, rising of the selfish craving for worldly pleasures means adharma has increased. Adharma has become predominant and dharma becomes subordinated to adharma. So in that state, that's what Shankara says here. Adharmena abhibhuyamane dharme pravruddhamane cha adharme. So it is the symbol of adharma. When the kama is the symbol of adharma. When we are in the path of adharma means our desires are also increases exponentially. We would try to satisfy that desire by unlawful means, unrighteous means. And then when adharma becomes predominant, once again what happened, there was a problem. The problem of maintaining the balance of this world system. The world system could not be balanced if adharma becomes predominant and dharma becomes irrelevant in the society. There should be a balance of pravritti and nivritti dharma, as I have already told you, and there should be a balance of dharma and adharma in the society. You cannot get rid of adharma. You don't find in any place or time in the history of humankind where there was no adharma and there was only dharma. And dharma shakti, the forces which are aligned to dharma and forces which are aligned to adharma both exist in the course of the history. So there was no time when adharma was completely destroyed dharma, or dharma has completely destroyed adharma. But over times what happens, adharma predominates and dharma becomes weakened. At that time the Lord incarnates. Krishna says in the Bhagavadgita, and I will incarnate whenever there is a danger to dharma. So this is the purpose of the incarnation. And Shankaracharya continues, in order to maintain the balance of this world, Narayana himself incarnated as Krishna on the earth. Narayanakhyaha Vishnuhu. This is a very important word. So Narayana is or Vishnu or Krishna is the family deity of Sri Shankaracharya's family. And also Narayana has got two meanings. He is the one who was in the water of deluge, what we call pralaya jala, after the destruction of the whole universe. After pralaya, what remains? So we call it as pralaya jala. So he was playing in that water. He is called the Narayana. Naram ayati. He was living in the water, deluge of water of deluge. He is called Narayana. As described by tradition, Narayana is also the Antaryami, the inner controller of every being, whether animate or inanimate. In every entity, what we find is the spiritual element. What we see externally is only the inert elements, even in human being. What we see outside is the body. Body is something inert, jada, and also the mind, intellect are all not sentient things, are not conscious things, they are all inert things. But what we find inside the human body, the mind, the intellect, is the spiritual entity, the spiritual core of human being. That is why we call human being has got a spiritual core. The core of personality is the spiritual one, That spiritual one is something common in all human beings, and he is called Antaryamin in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a section called Antaryami Brahmana. It says, in all the living beings, there is a spiritual entity, he is Antaryami. And all inert things and all the elements of the nature like sky, water, air, etc., everywhere there is hidden spiritual aspect, spiritual entity that is hidden to external eyes, that hidden to ordinary mind, that is Antaryami. So Narayana is such an Antaryami. He is called the Vishnu. So Vishnu is also a very important word in our tradition. Vishnu Vyapakatvat Vishnu. He is all pervading. All pervading means whatever we see, whatever we experience, everything is but spiritual consciousness. That is what is called Vishnu. Vyapakatvad, all pervading. So this Narayana, Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, Ishvara we call it, the Creator God, in order to protect Brahmanatva, that is what Shankaracharya writes. Brahmanatva doesn't mean the caste Brahmin. It is to protect the spiritual people, the people who are following the Dharma. See, Dharma is protected by adopting it in our life. Such people are called the Brahmanas, not the caste Brahmins here. They have what is called Brahmanatva, being a Brahmana, that is the Dharma. They are virtuous people. If we protect the virtuous people, the Dharma will be protected. That is the logic. So in order to protect Brahmana, the spiritual people, ennobling people, the noble people, and also the way of life adopted by them, Krishna appeared. Krishna was born in Devaki to Vasudeva. Devakyam Vasudevat Amshena Krishnaha Kila Sambhabhuva. And Shankaracharya says, if we protect the spiritual way of living adopted by the noble people who are following, generally called Brahmanas, Vedika Dharma will be protected because they are following the Vedika Dharma. If there is an annihilation of such kind of people in society, and that Vedika Dharma, which stands for the eternal values of life, will also get destroyed, and there will be chaotic condition. That is what real destruction of the world system. So in order to prevent it, Krishna was incarnated. So you will find why the Krishna incarnated, what is the purpose of an Avatara, why the Gita teaching was done by Krishna. All these ideas you will find in brief manner in the introduction of Shankaracharya. Now he goes on to explain the nature of Bhagavan. This is very, very important. As we have already studied in previous classes, there is absolute Brahman, Satchidananda, and Satchidananda with attributes is called Saguna Brahman. Without attributes, without gunas, it is called, the reality is called Nirguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman is also called Creator God, Ishvara. Ishvara is endowed with auspicious qualities. There are 6 auspicious qualities, great qualities ascribed to Lord Bhagavan. That is why he is called Bhagavan. There are 6 bhagas, divine qualities in Ishvara. So the Ishvara, the Creator God, the Saguna Brahman is called the Bhagavan. What are they? Jnana, infinite knowledge, Aishwarya, supremacy, Shakti, the power, Bala, the strength, Virya, might, Teja, vigor, etc. So the Lord always is endowed with all these qualities. So whenever we say Ishvara, we should always think him along with these qualities. So without this quality, he will cease to be an Ishvara. And there is the power of Maya in him. Maya is also Prakriti. Prakriti is what? The whole universe is its Prakriti. It is but its power. Associated with this power or Maya, Prakriti, in Vedanta it is also called Avidya or Avyakta, etc. Lord creates this world. Without this power, he is as good as an inert, absolute, Nirguna Brahman. Only when he is associated with Maya or Avidya, he is called Ishvara, the Creator God. In fact, what is described in Bhagavadgita is, the Lord doesn't create directly, it is Prakriti, Mula Prakriti, the original Prakriti, which produces this whole world. And that Prakriti is said to be the inherent power of the God. And Shankaracharya says, Trigunatmika, Swam Mayam Vashikritya, being associated, subordinating the Maya, his own Maya. And Maya or power of God or Prakriti is not different from him. That is made up of three gunas. There are three constituents in the Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas and the Prakriti, Tamas. And by associating with this Maya, that is Bhagavan plus his power, the world is created, the universe is created. And who is that Lord? Shankara gives in one place the characteristics of Nirguna Brahman as well as the Saguna Brahman. We often say Shankara gave importance to only Nirguna Brahma. It is not so. Whenever he would describe the God, the Brahman, he would add epithets of Saguna Brahman as well. You see here, Ajaha, Avyayaha, unborn, never decayed. All these are qualities of the Nirguna Brahman. In the same breath he says, Bhutanam Ishvaraha, he is the Lord of all the beings. And once again he says, Nirguna Brahman he describes, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha. The Lord is of the nature of eternal reality. It is eternal, it is a principle, it is not a person. When we personalize it, we call it Nirguna, Saguna Brahma or Ishvara. It is Saguna Brahma which incarnates on the earth as an Avatara. We have Nitya, eternal, Shuddha, free from all kinds of duality. There is no duality there. He is pure from the taint of dualism or the Dvaita. And Buddha, he is of the nature of knowledge itself, pure knowledge. And Mukta, he is ever free. So this is the Swabhava, the very inherent form, the structure or the characteristic of the Nirguna Brahma. What we should understand and appreciate is Shankaracharya gives equal importance to Nirguna Brahma aspect of the reality as well as to the Saguna Brahma. Or rather, he gives equal importance to Saguna aspect of the Brahman and as well as to the Nirguna Brahman. He doesn't make any difference. He says in one place in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Upadi Rahita Brahma is Nirguna Brahma, Upadi Sahita Brahma is the Saguna Brahma. When there is an Upadhi like qualities and creatorship, etc., if the human mind attributes those qualities on the reality, then we personalize the God or reality and call him Ishvara or the creator God, Saguna Brahma. It is Saguna Brahma which incarnates itself in the form of avatars. Avatara means descendants. It descends the reality, the God is Paramatman, himself descends on the earth. Now he has descended on the earth in the form of the Lord Krishna. And what is the purpose of Avatara? Shankaracharya defines and says there is no personal purpose for the incarnation at all. The God has no purpose. In the Gita, God himself says, I have no work to do, I have no result to reap. Still I continue to do the work. And please follow me. Just work for the sake of the whole world, sake of the welfare of the world. This is the only purpose. And Shankara says, Bhutani Jigrikshaya, in order to bestow grace on the living beings or the people, or in other words, to bring about dharma in this society. So, Krishna's whole purpose is to establish dharma in the human society. That is his grace. He has no other grace. His grace flows in the form of the Avatara. The Lord's grace is the Avatara. You cannot differentiate Avatara from the Lord's grace. What we call Lord grace has flown has shaped itself in the form of the Avatara. So, Bhutanu Jigakrishaya, in order to bestow his grace, what is his grace? The Bhagavadgita teachings are themselves the greatest blessing of Lord Krishna on the humanity. And what he teaches Arjuna. So we have to be very definite about it. We read several books on Bhagavad-Gita and we have numerous proposals about what Krishna taught Arjuna. But the tradition of Advaita, tradition of Shankaracharya, he says clearly, it is the traditional teaching, Vedika Dharmadvayam, the two ways of the Dharma, Pravritti Dharma as well as the Nivritti Dharma, both are taught by Krishna to the Arjuna. For whom the Pravritti Dharma is meant for? Pravritti Dharma is meant for common people like us, so that we can adopt the teachings of Gita in our day-to-day activities and develop Chitta Shuddhi, the purity of mind, so that we can be eligible for Jnana Marga or the path of knowledge. So the path of Karma Yoga will lead to the path of Jnana Marga. And the binding factor, the beautiful binding factor in both karma and the jnana, which binds karma and jnana, is the bhakti, the love of God. This is in essence what is the Gita teaching is meant for the common people. So that is pravritti marga. Those who are qualified to lead the life of renunciates, sannyasa, Krishna teaches nivritti marga or the jnana marga, the sannyasa marga also. So Veda teaches both and Veda advocates both paths, and these both paths are also taught, advocated and also taught by the Krishna. Veda never says to the common people, you are not fit to follow the dharma, you should be away from the dharmic path. No, it is not the Vedic system at all. Veda accommodates everyone. Even a common man on the street can follow the dharma. One should follow the ethical principles. One should be righteous and do all works for the adoration of God. Surrender all works to God. Do all works for the sake of God and be a selfless man. Then you will become a purified person. Your mind will be purified. Your intellect will be purified. Then you will understand the knowledge of Atman, knowledge of Paramatman, and this is the way of the Veda as well as the Gita. In this sense, the Bhagavad Gita honestly, sincerely follows the path of Veda. The Vedic system allocates everyone, allocates duty to everyone. If you are with desires, follow the dharma and activities. Through activities, you become spiritual. And after that, you can follow the Nivritti Marga also, if you are qualified for that. This is the path followed, taught, preached by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So, there is no ambiguity at all. There is no confusion at all. What Krishna teaches is but the reflection or the adaptation of the teachings of the Veda. In the modern days, we do not study Gita, the Veda. We do not understand what is in the Veda, what are the Veda's teachings. So, in order to make home for common people like us, the Vedic wisdom, the Vedic way of life, and Vedic knowledge, and Krishna teaches Arjuna the two types of dharma, that is pravrutti dharma as well as the nivrutti dharma. Why he teaches Krishna? Krishna teaches Arjuna. Why he doesn't teach anyone else? This is also a very important subject we have to understand, or we have to study, we have to think of. Why is Arjuna? Because Arjuna is the fittest candidate for teaching this dharma according to Krishna. And in Mahabharata, you find Arjuna was very beloved to Lord Krishna. Arjuna is called Madhyama Pandava. And we have Dharmaraja or Yudhishthira and Bhima on one side, and the Nakula Sahadeva on the other side. Arjuna is the middle one, the Madhyama Pandava. In qualities also, he was a very balanced person. Yudhishthira was very emotional, very adamant in following the diktats of ethics and morality. And of course, we find Bhima is extremely full of passion, like anger, etc. And he has so much of physical strength, but not that much of the intellectual strength. But in Arjuna, we find a balance of both physical strength as well as the intellectual strength and the spiritual capability. That is why Krishna chooses Arjuna to be recipient of the Bhagavad Gita teachings. Another explanation is Arjuna, in the words of Shankara, was immersed in the ocean. Ocean means the big reservoir. Reservoir of what? Shoka and the moha. Shoka is sorrow, moha is the delusion. When we are in shoka, when the shoka becomes extreme, suffering becomes unbearable, we get into delusion, illusion. We don't think factually. We create our own imaginary world. We develop our own value system to suit our own way of life. And we don't recognize the true dharma. What is the true dharma for our living? What is my duty today? What is my duty tomorrow? What I have to do in a month or a year? What is my family duty? What is duty towards family? What is my duty towards others? We don't comprehend at all. We become too much selfish because of our delusion. So these two passions, the fundamental passions of life, and all evil passions are crystallized into two by Shankaracharya. One is the shoka, the sorrow, the second one is the moha. And he says in the second chapter, his explanation of the second chapter also, how Arjuna get into this horrible state of delusion, the shoka, the sorrow and the delusion, the moha, that we will study later. Now for the present, Shankaracharya writes, shoka moha udadhau. Udhadi means the big ocean. He is immersed, nimagnaya. He is completely immersed. He didn't find any way to come out of his terrible condition. The situation he is in, he is desperate to find a way out of it. And Krishna comes to his help through his teachings of the Bhagavadgita, Upadidesha. And why Krishna teaches Arjuna, another explanation is given by Shankaracharya. According to Shankaracharya, Krishna chooses an excellent person to teach. All the excellent qualities you will find in Arjuna. As I said, Arjuna was a very balanced person with an excellent qualities, with moral qualities, spiritual qualities, and his physical capabilities as a soldier, as a kshatriya, the warrior class. So, if a person of excellent character, excellent qualities will take up this dharma, and that will be followed by others also, and this dharma will be spread wide, far and wide. And this is the purpose, this is the intention of Krishna, why he chooses Arjuna over others for the teachings of the Gita. So, in this short introduction, we find many important things we should know before we start the study of the Bhagavad Gita. These are all the things, traditional ideas, how Gita is the summary of the Vedic teaching, and Gita derives inspiration from none other than the Vedas themselves. These are all very important to us. Gita is not a standalone work. Gita is not an independent work. Gita is very closely connected to Mahabharata, and Mahabharata is meant for popularizing Vedic teachings to the common mass. Now we have a wonderful definition, wonderful characterization of the Bhagavad Gita by Shankaracharya. He says, Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam. It is the condensation of the Vedic teachings. Vedartha Sara, condensation of all the Vedic meanings, all the ideas and the ideals enumerated in the Veda are condensed, and that condensation also is further crystallized, Sara. Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha. Sangraha can be understood as condensation, and the Sara can be understood as crystallization. So all the meanings, all the ideals, all the teachings of the Vedas are as if crystallized, and that crystallization of all the teachings of the Vedas are further condensed in one work, that is Bhagavad Gita, according to Sri Shankaracharya. It is well understood in Sanskrit itself, it is not so difficult. Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam. Shankaracharya says, I am beginning to explain that Bhagavad Gita, which is revered by many people, all the people, explained by my ancestors, but there were different meanings, there were different explanations. People were in confusion, wished to follow which explanation, what kind of explanation we had to follow, how to understand the Gita. There was a confusion in the time of Shankaracharya. So in order to remove all the doubts of the sincere spiritual seekers, in order to explain the correct meaning of the Bhagavad Gita, I have commenced this short commentary. That's what Shankaracharya submits before he commences the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. So, now he clearly says, what is the goal of studying Gita? We should never study Gita for any worldly aspiration. The tragedy of the day is new books are coming out in explanation of the Gita with the worldly purpose, how to make money, how to have a semblance of peace while making progress in the worldly life. Worldly life, or the Abhyudaya, what we call, is not the goal of Bhagavad Gita. Shankaracharya clearly says, Param Nishreyasam. Nishreyasa, as we have already understood, spiritual liberation. Liberation. That is, Param Nishreyasam means Atyantika Moksha, where we will no longer come back to the samsara, the transmigratory life. That sahetukasya samsarasya atyanta uparamam lakshanam. Samsara, the transmigratory life, has got a cause, that is ignorance, avidya. Our Bhagavad Gita completely destroys that avidya. It is avidya which made Arjuna fall in the trap of shoka and the moha, that is sorrow and the delusion. So, if you want to get rid of the sorrow and the delusion, only way is to destroy the ignorance, avidya, that I am a limited being, I am a human being with flesh and bones, I have no further existence apart from this body, and this is what is ignorance. And Krishna teaches here the immortality of every being, animate and inanimate, and we are all Atman, the supreme spiritual principle, which is indestructible and which is eternal, which is pure, which is of the nature of bliss, ananda, and through that our transmigratory existence full of misery will be destroyed forever. So this is the only goal, the primary goal, only goal of studying the Bhagavad Gita. If we want to study Gita for any other purpose, that we are missing or we are losing a gem for the sake of some, as in Sri Ramakrishna says, for the sake of some fruits or the vegetables. So there is a gem here. If you go to a king, you should ask for the gem, some valuable thing. We should not ask for the vegetables. That's what Ramakrishna says in an anecdote. So when you approach the Gita, we are studying the Gita, we are trying to contemplate the Gita, the meaning, and trying to adopt the teachings of the Gita. Our goal also should be very high. We should have the noblest goal, highest ideal for our life. The highest ideal being is mukti, the spiritual liberation, where we can be completely free from janana and marana, and we should always be in the state of Sat Chit Ananda, the epithets or the qualities of the Brahman. So, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, Upanishad says. One who knows Brahman will become Brahman itself. To become the immortal, to become free is the goal of life, in the words of Swami Vivekananda. And Krishna teaches that, and it is the only goal, it is the only ideal of the Bhagavad Gita according to Shankaracharya. And what is the way, what is the mean? So we have found the goal, and what is the means to attain that state. And Shankaracharya says we should be able to renounce everything. Sarva karma sannyasa purvakat. We need not be afraid of these wordings. because it is only a mental sannyasa what really matters. And Sri Ramakrishna shows the way how to practice mental sannyasa, the mental renunciation in this life. We are all householders, we have many duties and commitments, but we should try to do all of them, fulfill commitments and duties with the attitude of detachment, not craving for the results, but offering our karma and our agencyship as the doer and also the fruits of work to the Lord. And this is what is karma yoga. And we should develop discrimination or discernment, viveka, what is real and what is real, non-real. God alone is real, everything is unreal. So slowly we will spiritually evolve and we will be able to reach God. This is the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna in the modern period to the householder. The same teaching you will find in the Gita. So there is we need not afraid of these words, sarva karma sannyasa. The sannyasa or the jnana comes later, but what we have to start with is karma yoga and the bhakti yoga, and trying to understand the philosophy or the knowledge of the Bhagavadgita. So then when we can give up mentally, offer everything to God by practicing karma yoga and bhakti yoga, we will be established in our own self. We will be established in God's consciousness. That is what is told here, Atma Jnana Nishtha. Atma Jnana, being established, steadfastness in Atma Jnana, the knowledge of Atman or the God. That is the result of our study of the Gita. And Shankaracharya continues, this is the path of Nivritti Marga, or the path leading to Nishreyasa. Then what is the use of Abhyudaya? Already Shankaracharya says Krishna teaches both Abhyudaya, worldly prosperity, the Dharma leading to worldly prosperity, as well as Dharma which leads to the ultimate Shreyas, the Mukti. Then Abhyudaya is also the teaching of the Krishna. Abhyudaya also forms a part of the teaching of the Krishna. That is Pravritti Lakshana, as we have already understood. So if we follow only Abhyudaya, that means for the sake of worldly prosperity or pleasure in this life and the next life. Next life means in heaven or in some other lokas. Then it has got a limited purpose according to Veda as well as Gita. This is what Shankaracharya explains in his introduction. So if you are aspiring for Abhyudaya and practice Dharma, you will be losing something great that is hidden in the Bhagavad Gita. But same karma, what we are doing, that is called kamya karma. Kamya karma means with desires for pleasures, with to get the new body of where we can enjoy intensely in the next birth, and that is iha and para and full of desires. If we do karma, such karma is called kamya karma. Suppose I am doing now kamya karma, I read Bhagavad Gita, I continue to do the same karma, but I give up desire for the worldly pleasures and I offer all my karma to God, then it will become karma yoga. So Abhyudaya also can be transformed into something spiritual. Ishwararpana buddhya. Kamya karma also can be dedicated to the Lord. When we give up the attitude, when we give up the desires for worldly pleasures, worldly position, and offer all our karmas, all our duties to the Lord, then it will lead to the spiritual liberation. So sattva shuddhaye bhavati, it will lead to purification of mind first, and that purification of mind will lead to jnana or the knowledge. That and Shankaracharya quotes some sentences from Bhagavadgita, Brahmanyadaya karmani, sangham tyaktva dhananjaya, etc. Our karmas are meant for realizing God. The karmas are not meant for just money or fulfilling our desires. So one should work for the sake of purification of the mind. So in lastly, Shankaracharya says, what is the subject of the Bhagavad Gita? So every book, according to the tradition, should have four things. One is the subject, the utility, Vishaya, Prayojana, and Adhikari, the one who is qualified to read the particular book or the work, and also the Sambandha. Sambandha means relationship with the Vishaya and the book. So whatever subject, whether the book is teaching or not, that is the Sambandha, the relationship between the subject and the book. And the first one is Vishaya. What is Vishaya? What is the subject matter? In one word, Shankaracharya explains, Nishreyasa Prayojanam. The only purpose is the spiritual liberation, moksha, annihilation, complete annihilation, destruction of samsara, the transmigratory existence, and also the Paramartha Tattva. The supreme reality is the subject of Bhagavad Gita. Here supreme reality has been taught by Krishna as Vasudeva, Vasudevakyam Paramartha Tattvam. These two subjects, one is the Nishreyasa Prayojana, the Nishreyasa, that is a Nishreyasa we should try to get, and that is that for that purpose we have to follow two types of dharma. So the Dviprakaram dharma, dharma which is of which has got two paths, that is pravrutti and nivrutti, that is one of the subject of this Bhagavad Gita. So dharma is the means, dharma is the sadhana, and what is the goal? What we try to achieve is the goal, that is called sadhya. So sadhana is dharma, pravrutti dharma, and then pravrutti dharma should mature itself into nivrutti dharma. And what is the goal? Paramartha tattvam vasudevakyam param brahma. What a beautiful word. So what Krishna teaches, the goal is Parabrahma itself. The eternal reality, ultimate reality is the goal, is the subject of the Bhagavad Gita. And here in this Bhagavad Gita, he is called Vasudeva. Vasudeva has got different meanings. There are two meanings we should try to understand. First, primary meaning is he is the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva's son is Vasudeva, Krishna. The Krishna is none other than the highest ultimate reality itself. That is one thing. Second meaning is he is Vasati. He resides in the hearts of everyone. There is no place where the reality is not there. The God is not there. God encompasses the whole existence, and that is why he is called Vasudeva. So Vasudeva is the Paramartha Tattva. The Tattva that to be known is reality. Tattva is reality. What kind of reality? The world is also real. Our senses are also real. Our experiences are also real. No, there is an ultimate reality which transcends all of them. That ultimate reality is Vasudeva. The Vasudeva itself is Parabrahma. Or in other words, Parabrahma denotes the Nirguna Brahma, which is attributeless, Sat, Chit, Ananda, and Vasudeva. This word denotes the Ishvara, who is omnipresent, Sarva Vyapaka, who is omnipotent, Sarva Shakta, and he is the creator of the whole existence. He is the Paramartha Tattva. So this is the subject of Bhagavadgita. And Vishaya, and next we comes the Prayojana. As I already told you, Moksha or the Nishreyasa, Abhyudaya, the worldly prosperity or the prosperity in other worlds or in this world is not the goal of Bhagavad Gita. The moksha, spiritual liberation, spiritual emancipation, freedom from birth and death is the only goal of the only teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. This is Prayojana. And then Sambandha, already I have told you, the Gita teaches this subject. When you study the Gita, what you will know is Sadhana and Sadya. Sadhana means the means, Sadhya means the end. Sadhana is Dharmadvaya, Pravritti and Nivritti Marga, and the Sadhya, the end is, as I told you already, Paramartha Tattva, Vasudeva, Param Brahma. So there is a Sambandha also. But lastly, who is the qualified person to read it? We are all qualified because we are all sincere spiritual seekers. We don't want worldly pleasures. We have understood all these worldly things are but dream, chimera. They have no essence in them. They are all just like dream. They are not real. The only reality is God and God alone. The God is the Antaryami, our own Atman. What we call Atman, our nature is but Paramatman. So we have to struggle very hard in our spiritual life. So Krishna teaches how to go about how to lead a meaningful spiritual life and how to get benefit from that. And we are all qualified people. So, lastly, Shankaracharya concludes, Tadartha Vijnane. So, Paramartha Tattva is the teaching. In order to understand what is Paramartha Tattva, the ultimate reality, Vasudeva, and he himself itself is Parabrahma, we have to follow the Pravritti Marga and mature ourselves and get into Nivritti Marga in order to gain the knowledge, that is Dviprakarakam Brahma. Only then our life will be fulfilled. Purushartha, Samasta Purushartha. So we know there are 4 kinds of value system in our tradition. They are called Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and the Moksha. And Moksha is called the spiritual ideal. Artha and Kama are called the material values. Moksha is called the spiritual value. The means to get these values should be Dharma. Dharma is the medium through which we should try to get Artha and Kama. The money and prosperity are fulfilling our desire. And even for moksha, we have to follow Dharma. But Shankaracharya says, Gita ideal is not to acquire or get Artha and Kama. These should not be our ideal. Our ideal should be moksha and moksha alone. And moksha is called Parama Prayojana, Parama Purushartha. It is the greatest value one can achieve in this human body. And also the same Purushartha, the moksha, Shankaracharya here calls it as Samasta Purushartha. whatever we are trying to achieve through by artha and kama, all purushartha and fulfillment of life, complete cessation of misery, complete destruction of transmigratory life, samsara, and eternal joy, infinite ananda, ananta ananda, infinite existence, and infinite knowledge, infinite awareness, infinite consciousness. That is what Sat Chit Ananda means. That we get through, that is why the Samasta Purushartha, the totality of all the Purusharthas, that we can get only by spiritual means, that is prescribed in the Bhagavadgita. So often we hear Bhagavadgita is explained or taught in different ways by different people for the sake of fulfilling desire or making our happy, making Muhammad just be content, just to have peace of mind. All these, there are so many ideas about the Gita. Here we have the authentic explanation, authentic instruction about the purpose of the Gita, the teaching of the Gita, who is the author, who is the preacher, and why he preaches, what is the essence of the teaching. All these ideas in brief you will get in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya of Sri Shankaracharya. With these ideas in mind, if we start studying Gita, and it will serve its purpose, that is the spiritual goal. Spiritual goal alone is the real goal of human life. No other goal can come anywhere near to this goal. It is the highest goal. That's what Chandogya Upanishad says, Bhuma eva tat sukam, nalpe sukam asti. There is no happiness in lower things. In this world, there is no happiness. You may acquire money, you may acquire the position, topmost position, so much money, absolutely no happiness, no bliss at all. Where is happiness? Where is bliss? Bhuma, in Brahman. In the ultimate is Brahman. The ultimate is Paramatman. Ultimate is Vasudeva. The ultimate is Lord Krishna. The ultimate is Parabrahman. And this Bhagavad Gita is that Brahma Vidya, the Paramatma Vidya. We are all very fortunate that we have the opportunity of contemplating and studying that great work. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.